Welcome back. It's your girl, Chandie. Welcome back to the Chandie Speaks podcast. I feel like I'm yelling. Hold on. I'm checking my mics. Hello? Can I hear me? I can hear me, but I hear myself really well. So it feels like I'm yelling. Okay, this is also the first time that I'm talking for the day, like at length. So I'm still getting used to like my voice for the day. Is this the voice I'm going with? Is this the octave I want to be in? I'm kind of silly right now. Yeah, that was the intro. Yeah, this is the Chandie Speaks podcast. It's your girl, me, Chandie. It is I don't know about these levels. Should I record it like this? How does that sound? It feels it doesn't feel right, but maybe I'm gonna just record it like this. Okay, because I have the headphones on. You can't see it, but I might upload half of the video version of this episode. I don't know. Right now, it's a fucking train wreck. I'll tell you that much. It's a fucking train wreck of a show. Right now, okay, I'm gonna just push through and just get used to hearing my voice. It's kind of weird hearing my own voice right now because, yeah, it's like in high def and my voice is like in 3G, kind of. So, okay. Big news this week. The biggest news, and of course, I'm always like a week late on reporting this because it seems like, okay, so this podcast goes up every Wednesday, and like I record it Tuesday night, and it's already like scheduled to premiere on all the platforms by Wednesday morning. And I tell you, by the time I get out of work or by the end of the day on Wednesday, usually there's like some big news. I'm trying to think, when did this happen? I think this news happened on June 19th, right? So did it happen over man, I should have did better research. I'm pretty sure it happened over no, it didn't. It wasn't that far ago. Now I gotta look it up because I feel like it was way more recent than July 1st. Okay, July 1st. And of course, that was Wednesday. That was last Wednesday. So of course, this story came out July 1st. Anyone who, has not been living under a rock probably knows this story already. But I thought it was definitely worth telling right now, even just for a future self version in case no one actually finds this episode interesting. My numbers have been weird lately. I don't know what you guys are on. You guys are like watching some of the episodes on YouTube and then not. I don't know what it is. I digress. But anyway, follow me. If you're not already following me, I have a whole YouTube channel and Spotify, and I'm everywhere. Follow me, Chandie Speaks. So this story, I'm going to pull it up because I did take notes. Took some kind of notes. It's about these climbers. Now, you guys know this is where you get like your uneducated news. It's not uneducated news, but it's like I'm not in the news like that. So I'm just sort of like an outside observer of the news. I think it's, it's kind of entertaining the way I tell it. But so from my memory, before I pull up my notes in the link, there's this couple who is like, apparently they're like daredevils. They're like, they like climb buildings. They do like extreme climbing type shit. And I have no idea who these people are. They apparently have like a Netflix special. I canceled Netflix years ago. I canceled Netflix during the lockdown in 2020 when they started overly promoting that fucking Cuties movie, I believe it was called. It was some movie about children being like over sexualized, and they were like crazy promoting it in a way that was just like inappropriate for the times that we were in 2020, like highly inappropriate. So I have not looked back, so I don't know what the fuck is going on Netflix these days. But this couple is like, they have a Netflix special, apparently. I think that it's called Skywalker. And they do adventures. I haven't done any much research on them specifically. Let me look at my notes right quick. Is it still recording? Yeah, I think it's still recording. Yeah, so they decided on July 1st to do in my opinion, it was pretty fucking epic. A pretty epic stunt. They climbed to, now this is before, I'm going to get into speculations here, okay? Because there's some stories that's come out since a week ago, that are saying that it's fake or that it was set up or that all this stuff. But just off first hearing of this story, July 1st, they climbed, no ropes, bro. They're epic and they're fucking hot. It's a man. Of course they're hot. I mean, I don't, I don't know many people. I'm sure, who are. If you gotta be hot to do that, you gotta be in shape. You gotta, be hydrated, focused, and well put together. They climbed the top of the Empire State Building with no ropes. I think they started from the observation deck, if my memory's not mistaken. And, oh great, my notes aren't pulling up. Fuck you guys. And, yeah, they climbed all the way to the top, and they were dressed up like Catwoman and Batman, or something like that. They were dressed all in black. Their face was covered, and yeah, they scaled the fucking top of the building. And when I'm reading this just out of work, oh my God, that is the most epic thing that I've seen all year. The most epic thing. Not just that alone, that they climbed to the top of the Empire State Building. Okay, New York City. For all you foreigners, I do have 2% listeners coming from Norway, and I think 3% coming from Costa Rica. So shout out to my international listeners. But Empire State Building, New York City, a fucking skyscraper, and they climbed to the top of it. That's just already, it's just amazing. They climbed it together as a couple. The most epic thing I've ever seen all year. Okay, so when they get to the top of the fucking building, they have this banner. This banner says, oh my God. God damn it. And now my computer is offline, so I'm not putting out my notes. So I'm going off of memory right now. I'm gonna see if I can get online and get my notes. But the banner said, I believe it was a quote from Jimi Hendrix or from someone, but it said, when the power of love beats the love for power, the world knows peace. I'm super paraphrasing, or I'm guesstimating right now. I'm pretty sure that's something along I've been seeing it all week, so it should be stained in my brain by now. And they had an all black sign, and they hung it. They were hanging it off of them from the tippy top antenna of the Empire State Building. It's so fucking epic. If you're not what, I'm sure. Look, everyone's heard this story right now, right? Okay, so it was just so epic. Okay. My heart is fluttering because they went up there, they did something illegal, but they did something, they carried a message of love in the biggest city in America. One of the biggest cities, in the world. And of course it was going to get a lot of news, and I was just in awe, okay? Just off of that act alone. Oh, it gets better. Then on their way down, bro sets up his cameras, because, they're professionals. They've done this before. He sets up his cameras. I'm okay, what's going on? Right at the base of the antenna, he gets down on one knee and he proposes to her. At the fucking top of the Empire State Building. There's pictures all over social media. It literally, it warmed my heart. I'm pretty sure I cried about it, right off the bat. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was emotional last week. So I definitely cried about it. Absolutely. That's where the bar is. And I'm a week late on reporting it. Everyone has done their analysis. I'm not here to give an analysis. I'm just here to give my 2 cents. And yeah, it's a romantic, it's a beautiful, the most beautiful romantic fucking gesture, epic gesture, love story of the fucking year, maybe the fucking decade. And I'm fucking here for it. I don't care. And they had some good ass sex after they got out of jail. It. Oh my God. I was just ugh. Meanwhile, niggas are breadcrumbing me in my DMs. I'm getting breadcrumbed and left on red, and shit like that. Hey, I'm just keeping it real, you know. Just when I thought the bar was lowered to the pits of hell, this man, God bless him, raised the bar to the top of the Empire State Building. So that's where it shall remain until someone raises it higher, because that's crazy. Beautiful. They got engaged. They went to jail, and they came home, and I'm pretty sure they got out, you know. They planned all this. So yeah, the speculation is like, I'm seeing a bunch of stuff. First off, it's kind of what's that? I guess it's like predictable. I guess it's just, I shouldn't be surprised that these large corporations and businesses and everyone's trying to like capitalize off of that gesture of love with money, of course. Like we can't have nice things this for a long time here in America because of capitalism, I believe. Like that's the big thing this week that I've seen, where people are reenacting, or AI is remaking the scene where they're hanging the flag off of the top of the Empire State Building together, and it says something that is not a message of love, but just a message of capitalism, something to get you to spend money on something somewhere. And I shouldn't really be surprised, but yeah, it's kind of, that's America. It's kind of annoying to see that. And then there's also, I saw something where they said they had, what's the word I'm looking for? They had like support, that they had an insurance claim. They said they took out like hundreds of thousands of dollars of like life insurance before climbing the top. And like there was like support around them that was out of the camera's view. So, like even then, even something that's carrying a message of love, if I see it online, I still can't believe what I see with my own eyes, because it's what, like, the people in New York can probably tell you better than anyone else who wasn't there. Like there are some TikTok videos that I saw from people who were on the ground zero, like at the very bottom of the Empire State Building, looking up. But those could have been plants too. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know what's real and what's not real anymore. I just know that, like, yeah, that was a beautiful thing for me to witness in 2026 in my life. So fucking epic. And then I just marinated in that love feeling, and I feel like I'm still marinating in that love feeling, because that was absolutely inspirational. And just trying to ignore all these extra, the fucking advertisements that they take away from it, and then these other conspiracies where, like, okay, I heard another conspiracy. I don't know if it's true or not, maybe true, but they've made like millions of dollars just from that stunt alone. Like they were, like, I don't know, they were paid to do it, or I don't know, sponsored, or I don't fucking know. But who gives a shit? When you're carrying a message of love, I feel like it shouldn't fucking matter. I don't give like and a lot of people are saying, and by a lot of people I mean like not people who I know in real time. Okay, just so we're clear, I'm talking about people who I'm reading comments from online, which may or may not even exist. Some people are just playing it there. Remember, I'm like, a lot of these commenters on these posts and events that are happening, they're just planted there like AI, or they're fucking, I don't know, bots, whatever the kids are calling them, just so they can just stir the pot a little bit, just so the algorithm can just move along. It's all a capitalistic fucking play, and it's kind of gross. So I really try not to engage online with these people, but I'll take note of things that I hear, and I'll just make my own assessment. I'll be like, okay, maybe that's true. Maybe I'll look into it. Frankly, I don't give a shit how much money these people made, how long they spent in jail, how big their insurance claim was, how much support that they had around to like protect their lives, if they fell from the fucking building. I don't give a shit. I want more people to break the law like that. Go to the top of a building and tell people to love each other. That's it. And then propose. So yeah, that was that story. All right. I tried to pull up my notes, but the internet is lagging right now because I'm just going off of my personal hotspot. So I'm just spitting this off the dome. Y'all know how it is. I'm guaranteed not AI, because I don't have enough energy. I don't care enough really to come up with a script for this. So if they load, they load, but if not, then hey, we're still pushing through. So yeah, from the commenters that I'm reading online about this Empire State Building couple, bless their hearts. I hope they live a long, loving life. And that's a great story they're going to tell their kids someday. But yeah, a lot of commenters that I'm reading online, from men in particular, well, from both sides. Okay, so we got the men who are just pissed off that the bar is so high. And I don't know how I feel about them being pissed off. Like, why shouldn't that be what you're striving to do? Like, why are men upset that now they have to try? First of all, you've always had to try. There's a lot of women out there who you really don't have to try for, but most of us kind of want you to at least like give a fuck enough to try. And the men from online, from the commenters, obviously no one I know in real life is talking about this shit, but from the commenting, from the men online, they're upset. They're like, fuck, And the women, of course, are like, they're here for it. Most people, I think, are not mad that these people climbed the top of the building. Most people. You know what I'm going to do? That's actually a good segue, I think, since it's about marriage. It's a good segue into another topic that I had about this post that I made. I think I made this post on TikTok. I totally did. I'm going to read this TikTok post really quick because it's kind of relevant. I made it. When did I make this post? A week ago. Yeah, I made it like the day of this Empire State Building. But this post that I made on TikTok says, marriage gives even the poorest man an opportunity to own a slave. Now, this quote, I think I saw that quote somewhere and it sounded nice. I physically do have links to back up the validity of that statement, but of course it's not loading, so I'm going to go off of what I remember. Something along the lines of, yeah, like historically, that's kind of how it's been for women to enter into marriages. They have to give their whole life. They have to bear children. They put their careers on hold. I've talked about this so many times on this podcast before. But I thought it was appropriate for the time a week ago because all the brokies were coming out on the posts, the men saying, "Oh fuck, now we gotta try." It's like, bro, you always had to try. Okay, we're just calling you out, and it'd be like the poorest men who be trying to get married real quick. Marriage in men extends their life about 4 to 7 years, I believe, something like that. Like, and it's like 2 to 4 years for women. It's something less than men. It just mathematically it benefits men more to be married, and not to mention they get an opportunity to own a slave, someone who will just ride or die for them, just because they're them. Not for anything that they're actually, maybe, I don't know. But I thought it was a funny quote, so I reposted it. Marriage gives even the poorest man an opportunity to own a slave. Yeah, any other situation, you have to pay for a maid. You have to pay for someone to cook your meals. You have to pay for someone to wash your clothes, to take care of your children, to balance your books, to pick up your dry cleaning. You have to pay someone for that normally. But, if you, I guess, if you got good enough game, you can just get married and then you get all that shit for free. Do I sound? No, I don't sound. I know there's facts to back this up. Let me read the comments on this and I'm going to move on. Because obviously, you guys could have guessed it. Most of the comments were from men. I only got like 11 comments, but a lot of likes. Like 71 likes, mostly from women, and the only men that commented were a bunch of beta males. I remember I had to delete a comment. This post was like a week old, and I'm still getting people viewing it and liking it. But I remember I had to delete a comment from a beta male who I accidentally engaged with. Oops, don't do that. We don't do that. We don't engage with beta males, apparently, especially on TikTok, because apparently the algorithm brings them close. And the lady, bless her heart, she commented that very thing. Toots like Tootsie. Toots like Tootsie. because I guess she saw that maybe I said the wrong thing, or as soon as I commented or replied to a comment from a beta, the rest of the beta roaches started just coming, flocking to the post. And I'm like, no, I didn't want that. I'm not trying to trigger men. I was just trying to state a fact that I can't prove right now, but it's out there. You can totally Google it. Okay, now my notes are loading. They're casually loading. I'm just stalling right now. But Toots like Tootsie, she commented on that post saying, "Girl, don't engage with these men. It tells the algorithm to send more incels here. Delete the comment and block them. Their opinion is invalid here. Don't give them an ounce of energy or the time of day." And I said, "You right, though. Heard that." Because I'm not trying to argue with people online. That's definitely never my intention when I make these posts that poke the bear or stir the pot or anything. It's just to just bring some kind of awareness of a situation, maybe even start a fire and just walk away. Kind of like the fire that's currently still burning here in Sedona. I didn't even mention that. Yeah, it's just a way of life now. We're still burning. It's not in Sedona, but it's near Sedona. The fire is still fucking burning. I'm going to get to that after these comments. So the post was, "Marriage gives even the poorest man an opportunity to own a slave." It's a public post. I'm on TikTok. Chandie Speaks. Go follow it. Go read it for yourself. Thick Mothman is the username. He said, I'm assuming it's a he. Most of these are he's. He said, "If you have your own money, I don't see how this applies." If you have your own money, I don't see how this applies. A slave is not someone, okay, he didn't understand it, because a slave is not someone that, what does he think? That he's just going to get money from someone? Or like he can pay for someone to do the things that a wife does, aka a slave? Yeah, because someone slaving for you has nothing to do with the amount of money they give you. It's about what they do for you. Yeah, he didn't get it. He said, "If you have your own money, I don't see how this applies." Like you as the man. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I'm not getting it. I'm going to move on. Connor V45 says, "Nailed it." That's a man that said that? That's a man that said that. Nailed it. I don't know if he was being sarcastic, but I liked that comment. But that's basically it. Or maybe he's a gay man. Some of these gay dudes be woker than most of the gay dudes I know be like more like feminists than heterosexual males, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, 𝙀𝙀𝙢𝙪𝙀𝙀 says, "I'm a queen in my home." Good for you. Queen of the fools. No, just kidding. Good for you. Self-proclaimed, just ha it. Mark P says, "The fatigue." He's saying like the fatigue from being married and having a slave. I don't know what he means. I'm not reading these vague ass comments. I'm only reading the comments that have something. I thought this was funny. Soloing the Dungeon writes, "Nice. I didn't think I'd get the chance." Which I think is funny, but I didn't fucking respond to that. Wyatt Dwayne writes, "Duh, obviously, marriage couldn't be about love or finding the right person. Its only purpose to slave one gender." I think he's trying to be sarcastic. Because he did the rolling eyes emoji. Marriage couldn't be about love or finding the right person. Its only purpose is to slave one gender. I feel like he feels like he's being sarcastic, but it's really not about that, though. And I hate to sound like, I don't know how I'm sounding, but I just know, like, marriage could, involve love or finding a right person, whatever the fuck finding the right person actually means. But for the most part, yeah, it's an arrangement. It's an agreement. I don't know, bro. I can't even speak on it. I have a failed marriage. A failed marriage, but a successful divorce. So I don't think it was about love at all. I think it was about, I don't know. Maybe I was not qualified to make this post. Are my notes going to pop up for me? But someone responded, Lindsay responded to that guy saying, generalizations are just ignorance. And he says, thanks for agreeing. So I think he's sort of implying that my post was an generalization. Or maybe he was just implying that the comment that he made that was kind of sarcastic was a generalization. Because my post isn't really a generalization. It's just sort of an observation, but whatever. Tomatoes. Okay, I'm going to go to 𝙀𝙁𝙀𝗃 ads. 𝙀𝙁𝙀𝗃 ads says, when has a woman ever provided? Ooh. Is somebody going to tell him? Who's going to tell him? Okay, this girl, I'm assuming this girl, 𝙬𝙤𝙧𝙬𝙧 responded, women provided every human being on earth, by the way. And I liked that comment. Fuck you mean? Okay, 𝗬𝗵𝗀 says, imagine if your content wasn't only, quote, men are evil, end quote, content. And this guy, bless his heart, he went and he viewed my profile multiple times. Like, I guess he gets a notification every time someone else comments on it, but he's been to my profile and viewed it multiple times. And he's coming from a hurt space, bless his heart, because my content is definitely not about men are evil. And if that's what you are gathering from my content, then you're part of the problem. Sorry. Get to the top of the Empire State Building before we can have a conversation, is what I'm going to say to these triggered men, really. Because you're still down here in low vibrational thinking. Never about that. Now, the system, I talk about the system being evil, yeah. This whole marriage thing is a scam. I think all that's evil. But that's a different conversation as well. Okay, moving on. So I got the jam is the girl's username. She says, marriage extends a man's life by 6 to 7 years. Women need to stop marrying men. I liked that comment, but I only agree with half of it. I'm not saying cease and desist all marriage. I'm just saying cease and desist marriage with beta males, with these men who aren't bringing anything into your lives, toxic, narcissistic. Let's stop marrying those people. Let's have them die off. All of them, men and women. They just needs to stop reproducing as a whole, in my opinion. But yeah, marriage extending a man's life, that's a fact. 6 to 7 years. I don't know if the numbers are accurate, but that is a fact. So if you're going to marry a man, just know that. Just know that you're benefiting him more than he's benefiting you. And if you're okay with that, then that's love, baby. Let it ride. But if not, let's stop having these marriages that are just killing us, really. Killing our souls. They're not bringing anything to us. Am I on a soapbox? I'm going to step down from this soapbox. I just dropped my damn vape. Okay. Pretty much everyone else is just triggered, I think. 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙥𝙀, I don't even know what this means. Not even worth reading. Yeah, that's the end of that post. Oh, my notes came up. Okay. Is that Skywalker's? Okay, I have Skywalker's notes. Okay, I'm gonna read something from my notes that I take. These are all cross-referenced between multiple sources. I'll probably add them in the description, but yeah. Okay, yeah, I got this super cool Chromebook computer. I don't know what kind of fucking Chromebook it is. It's a nice one. And it has this thing called Notebook, where basically I just put in a prompt into the generator, and it'll bring up all the links that sort of match my claim or something. I don't know what I was trying to say. Love and law atop the Empire State Building. So I'm just gonna read this. It was from the Skywalkers. Do I need to read this? I mean, we kind of already know the story. What other notes do I have? The male perspective on female. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a different topic too. Mill on marriage and servitude. Okay, I'm just going to end the conversation with this, and then we'll move on to the next topic. It's a it's just some notes about the subjection of women. So it says, this concept is a central theme in John Stuart Mill's 1869 essay, Reading Time, Story Time, The Subjection of Women, where he argues that the institution of marriage in the 19th century was a direct continuation of the primitive, quote, law of the strongest, end quote, and a form of legal slavery. The following points from the sources explain how Mill and his contemporaries viewed marriages as a means for every man to possess a servant. I mean, if it's like, it's basically a form of legal slavery when you really break it down. So number one, first point, universality of power. Mill observes that while other forms of arbitrary power like absolute monarchy or class distinctions are limited to a small number of people, the power of husband is offered to every adult male regardless of his status or character. I didn't know that. The clodhopper and the nobleman. Mill writes that the most uneducated rural laborer or clodhopper exercises his share of legal power over his wife just as a high-ranking nobleman does. That's what it is. Same power, different levels of life, right? Power for the vilest male factor. Even a man who is little higher than a brute or a criminal is guaranteed a, quote, victim, end quote, through the law of marriage, whom he can legally command and in many cases physically abuse with little fear of penalty. Number two, the second point, I'm going to keep going. The wife as a bond servant. Mill and other liberal thinkers argued that the legal obligations of a wife were identical to those of a slave. So we have the legal obligation. Mill explicitly states that the wife is the actual bond servant of her husband, no less so as far as legal obligation goes than slaves commonly so called. Vows of obedience. Upon marriage, a woman vowed lifelong obedience and was legally held to it, unable to act or acquire property without her husband's permission. Obviously, things are changed now, but this was how it began. This was the institution of marriage, like at its roots. Comparison to slavery. So Mill argued that the position of an English wife was in some respects worse than that of a slave under Roman law. A Roman slave might have their own small savings, whereas a wife's property and even her earnings were ipso facto the property of her husband. Oh, I can go on. The total subjugation of body and mind. So there's loss of body autonomy. Under the laws of coverture, a woman's legal existence was suspended during marriage. She had no legal right to refuse her husband, who could claim and enforce, quote, the lowest degradation of a human being, regardless of her inclinations. There's also enslavement of the mind. Mill argued that men desired not just a, quote, forced slave, end quote, but a, quote, willing one, end quote, and therefore used education to train women from childhood to believe their, quote, ideal of character, end quote, was total submission and living only for the affections of others. Ain't that some shit? I mean, a lot of shit is not legal today, but it describes the thinking process of these men out here. Like they want you sort of brainwashed into believing that they are the ones who are the head of the household, that they're the dominant ones, that they're the life bringers. Still, men will argue that, hey, God made the woman from the man's rib and think that's just like based on some kind of reality. It's like, no, that's based off of patriarchy. That was a story that you guys switched around because women weren't being obedient to you. Because you're not really worth being obedient towards, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's just not natural. I don't know. Humans are the only ones who are trying to do it backwards. Like in all species, like the man is the one that is trying to impress the woman. Like the lions and the peacocks and the fucking cows. In every fucking animal kingdom, every animal group, it's the men, the birds. They're trying to dance and impress the women. And the women, we have it backwards now. We're the one doing the dancing now. And voluntarily putting ourselves into slavery. Ooh, child, I'm on it right now. Okay, I'm just going to skim over these, but you guys get the fucking topic. All this is online somewhere. There's a societal impact of the school of despotism. corrupting the man. Growing up in a household where he is inherently superior to half the human race teaches a boy self-worship and arrogance. And in the School of Despotism, Mill described the traditional family as a, quote, school of despotism, end quote, that nourished the vices of power. He argued that the true virtue of human beings is fitness to live together as equals, which could only be achieved if the, quote, most fundamental of the social relations, end quote, was based on equal justice. So yeah, that's what I got for that. I think that was a good read. That was a good read. I also made another post. How long is this going to be? Because I saw something. It was actually a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to just brief over it because I thought it was interesting. Now, I have my notes in front of me, but before I read the notes over, I'm going to just go off my memory from what I understood of it that made me want to dive deeper into this. But I saw something somewhere on these social medias, probably TikTok, where it's saying that the pineal gland is more of like a physical manifestation, and like the clitoris is more of like an emotional manifestation, if that makes any sense. We're going to be talking about the clitoris right now, just briefly. I don't actually have all my notes to back this up, but it was something where like the pineal gland is sort of like a patriarchal thing where they're trying to get us to be in the physical, and they're trying to help us manifest physical things. But like the spiritual and the emotional realm is actually, it comes from the South Pole, the other pole, the clitoris. I seriously thought it was interesting when I saw it, but I don't have my notes for it. So I just thought it was interesting because women, especially single women nowadays who are just independent, baddies by themselves doing their own thing, they're tapping into their pineal manifestation, and they're like sort of disconnected from their emotional side because it's sort of like a masculine thing to be like do and having, rules and fucking straight lines and shit. That's like a masculine trait to have like appointments and a long schedule of things to do, or reward system. It's like, I think it was like from like dopamine to versus oxytocin. Like men definitely are more leaning on the dopamine side, and women are leaning on the oxytocin side because it involves connection. And we should be channeling the power from our clitoris actually as women, and not from our pineal gland. Or maybe there should be a balance. It's kind of hard to do as a single woman. I have to constantly be stepping into like my masculine energy, my masculine manifesting, shit, because that's what the society, that's what it calls for. I have to pay bills. You know what I mean? I got to go to work. I got to have a schedule. So I thought that was interesting. And it led me to the dopamine versus oxytocin in women and how it affects it. And I'm just going to read my little notes. I'm glad that they loaded. It's oxytocin and the biological architecture of women's well-being. So it says the sources suggest that while dopamine drives the initial pursuit of excitement of a reward, women benefit uniquely from oxytocin because it provides the biological foundation for stress resilience, emotional stability, and long-term bonding. While dopamine is associated with wanting and the thrill of novelty, oxytocin facilitates the liking and a deep sense of security necessary for sustained well-being. It's just different strokes for different folks. Men are more, they lean more towards the wanting, conquering, getting, I'm done, I got it. And women are wanting to, like, not just want you, but we want to like you. We want to want you. So because liking you is actually what is like good for sustaining long-term longevity. And oxytocin is like that bonding chemical, right? It makes you feel like super fucking close. So the following sections detail how women benefit from oxytocin-driven systems compared to dopamine-heavy reward cycles. Number 1, the tend and befriend stress response. Unlike the traditional fight or flight response, which is pineal gland, dopamine, women often exhibit a tend and befriend response to stress. Stress regulation: when women engage in meaningful social interactions, their oxytocin levels rise, which creates feelings of trust and connection while reducing cortisol, the stress hormone. Then we have cardiovascular protection. Research indicates oxytocin may have cardioprotective effects for women by calming the, parasympathetic nervous system. parasympathetic nervous system, and stabilizing emotional regions of the brain. Mental health buffer. This oxytocin-driven inclination to nurture others and form alliances acts as a powerful buffer against anxiety and depression. God, I love women. I just love us. Number 2, sustaining long-term bonds versus fleeting excitement. So we have dopamine rewards, termed the dopamine sex, quote, dopamine sex, end quote, or dopamine-driven connection. This is characterized by the thrill of the chase and the spark of new romance. However, these connections can be ephemeral as the brain focuses on the relentless pursuit of the next high. Oxytocin benefits. In contrast, oxytocin sex or intimacy is rooted in trust, empathy, and mutual support. It moves beyond the pursuit of pleasure to create a space of vulnerability and security, which is essential for maturing love that stands the test of time. Pair bonding formation. Research on prairie voles, a model for human attachment, shows that in females, the concurrent activation of both oxytocin and dopamine receptors in the nucleus accumbens is essential for pair bond formation. Blocking oxytocin receptors prevents the formation of partner preferences even when dopamine is present. Oh, and there's like 2 more points here. Cognitive health and longevity. So dementia prevention, social engagement, and midlife, which boosts oxytocin and social neurotransmitters like serotonin, has been shown to reduce the risk of dementia by 38%. I didn't know that. And mild cognitive impairment. Longevity. Women with strong emotional support systems and close social ties tend to live longer and have better heart function. It's just better for us. And then hormonal interactions and reward processing. So the dopamine sensitivity. Estrogen enhances dopamine production and receptor sensitivity, making women feel more focused and or motivated during the follicular or ovulatory phases, whereas oxytocin fluctuations, endogenous oxytocin levels fluctuate with the menstrual cycle significantly, increasing from the early follicular phase to ovulation. Interestingly, some studies suggest that women on hormonal contraception have higher plasma levels of oxytocin, which can influence subjective hunger and calorie intake, highlighting how synthetic hormones can alter the typical oxytocin reward pathway. That's just a lot of jargon there, but basically, yeah. That's really all I got to say about it. I don't really have a strong personal opinion on it, except that I've been trying to adapt that way sort of more in the last week. Just, I don't have to always have something planned. I don't have to do something all the way. For me, connecting with myself is very important. Like for the last 4 days, I was like, okay, I want to get up and not even get up because I get off of work. I work the overnight shift at a hotel. So when I get out of work, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I feel like I can't just go right to sleep. The sun's up, but it's still like hella early. It's kind of chilly out. No one's out. So I've been making a point for the last 4 days to just get out and just move my body around for an hour before I go and crash, which is what I've been doing. And I know it's sort of like, yeah, I have a schedule, but it's not like a strict schedule. And it's like, it's actually been really great on my mood. Like it helps me, like I said, connect with myself, connect with the earth. I go out and I roller skate, hula hoop, just move, like power walk. I'll be taking, so something that gets my body moving. It makes me feel more feminine, makes me feel in my body, not like my body's trying to run me. I don't even know if that was relevant or anything. I'm going to move on to the next topic. I made another post on Facebook. That's what I'm going to read. I'm going to read this post on Facebook, and then I have some notes to back it up. All right. And yeah, I normally work the overnight shift at the hotel as a night auditor. Just recently started, not too long ago, probably like 2 or 3 months ago. But today I have to go in actually early for some quote training with the front desk. So that should be fun. So I'm going to have to get off here pretty soon. It's like 10 o'clock right now. It's Tuesday, July 7th. We just finished the first week of July. Let me read this Facebook post. So I'm going to read this Facebook post. Read the comments on it. This was actually a crazy post. I think that should be the end of the podcast. I know I have other things that I wanted to cover. Do I? But I'm going to just wait for next week because this is a pretty big post. I posted it about a week ago in one of these Facebook groups I'm in. I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups on Facebook about that are themed for van life and all kinds of stuff. This particular one is a van life group. The van life group, it's a private group. It's a private group. I'm just going to read the name of the group, and I'm not going to read the commenter's full name. I'm just going to read their first name. It has over 17,000 members in this group. The name of the group is called Uncensored Van Life and Nomad Dating. Shout out to everyone who commented on this post. Shout out to people who enjoyed the post, who pushed the algorithm along and got more people to comment on it. Literally, people are still commenting on it as recent as 15 hours ago, and it's like a week old. And I'm trying to think, what was my intention with making this post? My intention was to have some content. Everything is content. I'm a content creator. Number one is to have content. Number two, I wanted to, get people to think. Maybe, I don't know what I was really expecting when I made this post. It's a triggering post, FYI. I kind of knew what I was doing, but I was also freestyling when I did this, because it was right after, so I made this post, June 30th. I made this post before the Empire State Building couple. They did that on July 1st. And I made this post on June 30th, the day before that. So this was made with whatever information that I had at that time, which apparently was not good on men. I also am aware that of the 17,000 members in this group, like many groups, men are usually the top ones in these single groups, these groups that involve dating or singles and stuff like that. I know I talked about a couple weeks ago, like statistically, women spend more time online than men. There are more women online controlling the internet narrative than there are men. But in these dating groups, these singles groups, even like in any kind of dating groups or meeting people groups, it's mostly men in these groups. And there's 17,000 members in here. So I directed this question specifically to the men in this group. And the question was, I got a question for the men. In what ways do you believe women have it easier than men? It's so crazy that I just somehow, that was like a topic discussion before the Empire State Building couple, because now it makes sense. Why now? Because you guys literally have no self-respect. You don't even care about women. I don't even think men really like women. But this was a question I asked before all that hype. Got 103 comments, and I'm not going to read all these fucking comments, but I'm going to read, should I read the most relevant? 103 comments, 13 likes, but they're all by women. A lot of men were triggered by this post. Let's just go down and just read their first names and read the comments on them. I have not read these comments yet. This is the first time of me scanning over it. I know I liked a couple of them, but then after like the first day, I just turned off the notifications. So this is me like reading through them for the first time, and then after this, I'm probably just gonna, I don't need to revisit this post again. Aloha writes, so the question, just to reiterate, says, I said, I got a question for the men. In what ways do you believe women have it easier than men? Also, sidebar, I got some fucking links that'll back this up. Got my receipts. Aloha writes, because women are classified as a protected class and men aren't. I don't understand what they meant by that. Christina responded, protected from who? Then he doubled down. Aloha says, a protected class is a group of people legally shielded from discrimination and harassment under federal and state anti-discrimination laws. Protected characteristics apply to employment, housing, and public accommodations. Okay, I don't really know. I think I'm just going to move on. They carry on a long thread with this. Christina says, I'm following because I need a good laugh today. Sean says, no, he didn't elaborate. I'm not going to read that. I don't even think these comments are worth, it's a lot of comments, but a lot of just men who are just commenting from hurt spaces, which am I surprised? Should I be surprised? Really? You're in a dating group on Facebook. Yeah, you're fucking unhealed in some way. I'm in the group too. I mean, hey, so that's just me calling the kettle black or whatever. Like, but come on. The things that people say in these groups. Okay, so Todd says, a woman can find a man willing to work, provide everything, and she can manage the house, etc., and think he got a good thing. Find a woman that feels that way and we'll introduce us. If you're broke, just say that. Okay, Jacob says, I wholeheartedly respect and adore women, although the last few years have been extremely eye-opening since the pandemic and how men are in survival mode in today's world. That's valid. Whereas it seems women are in Lulu land, falling for all the algorithms and division of social media and consumerism. Women are loved unconditionally, even if nothing to provide. Men are only loved under the condition they can provide something. That being said, a lot of manipulation at play with this these days. Anytime a man sets boundaries and a plan for a long-term relationship, the woman will go find someone else to enable their toxic behavior. Also, rarely own up or take accountability for actions, or just a girl, so enables not being an adult. Bro spitting right now. I'm definitely living in the wrong timeline, and I'm old school. Miss the good old days of power couples against the world. Last 10 years have been disheartening. No longer interested in dating in today's climate, to be honest. Just to be one guy out of the many y'all entertain and use. I care reacted to that. Bro was spitting. I'm going to read the responses to that comment from Gerald. He says, you covered a lot of what I was thinking. Why is it when an activity or trip or home project, it's always the woman's vision, and when you deviate from that vision, it's game over? Oh, poor baby. Chad responded as well, saying, nailed it. Listen to the opening stanza of Don't Call Me White by NOFX, ironically written in the mid-90s. I was literally questioned by a date what it feels like to have white privilege by a Caucasian female who moved to Colorado because daddy only bought her one condo, not a house, because the toponym sounded cool, and she still hates men. Imagine constantly being blamed for crimes you never committed in times you never even lived. Antisocial, misandry, and categorizing have led to the war of the sexes reaching an irreversible disconnect. Enjoy. Okay, I'm just going to move right along. He just went all over the place with that. How about I just read the comments that got a lot of likes, but I feel like those are going to be the ones like triggered men make a comment that other triggered men like. So I don't know. Jesse writes, nothing is easier for the other and neither can exist without the other, and the opposite sex would be viewed as someone who does the things that brings everything to completion, which only happens when two have become one in spirit. Bro, what the fuck kind of mumble jabber bullshit was that? That made my brain hurt. Okay, I'm gonna just go to the next comment. Chris writes, women can answer questions like this one with high likelihood of receiving supportive feedback and advocacy. Men who answer these types of questions subject themselves to attacks and condemnation. I suspect this question is actually a sideways attempt for someone to make a statement rather than seek information. Bingo. I like you, Chris. By asking a question first, you can make your statements through defensive responses and thus claim victimhood. Being the victim means no one can refute or criticize you. No, that's not it. I'm not trying to play victimhood, but I am trying to help everyone see the human nature of all this kind of shit. Really, the best thing you could have done was just read the post, log off, and do some introspection and some deep reflection, and then change as a person and just be a better fucking human being. But most likely, these words, I mean, it's showing human nature. People get triggered by words. Don't matter what words you're using, what form and phrases you're saying. Someone's going to get pissed off about it, and then they're going to express that they're pissed off about it, and most likely prove the words point just on its own. So yeah, he was right about that. But I'm not playing victim. I'm not trying to be a victim. I personally believe, I probably believe that in some cases women have it easier than men, but in other cases men have it easier than women. It kind of just depends on what the situation is. So yeah, this was definitely a social experiment, to say the least. Someone who I can't pronounce their name says I almost broke my fucking ankle running to the comment section, which I thought was funny. Rich writes, men build everything you see just so women are happy. No women built a town even. So why can't women build everything? That was an ignorant comment. 2 people laughed at it, though. Okay, I'm going to move on. Let me see what else, because I'm already over this post. Daniel writes, question with question. What happened between the men, women, and children during the sinking of the Titanic? That's weird. Well, boys are... If the women and the children went first on the Titanic. And the boys are children, so I feel like after the boys become men, then they gotta wait to get on the fucking lifeboat. I don't know why that is. I don't know why we have it set up like that. Maybe that's just how it is. Maybe. I don't know. The women carry on the fucking human race. Maybe that's fucking why. If you got a boat full of 100 men and just left all the women to drown, like, how are you guys going to further the human race? I guess the same can be said if you got a bunch of women together and there was no men around. A man can get 100 women pregnant. But a woman can only be pregnant like once a year. So I feel like maybe they should have kept all the women, all the children, and one man. And then, yeah, all the little boys will eventually grow up. You know, I don't fucking know. That was a funny question. I think I'm over this post. Oh, Care reacted to this. Care reacted, so I'm going to read this comment from Brian. He says, there's more support in general, women's shelters, etc. If a woman cries in distress, the world runs to her side to make sure she is okay. A woman has the choice to work or depend on her partner for support. It's never seen as okay for a man to lean on a woman for money. My money is our money. Her money is her money. I've lived in many blue-collar areas in my life where men's work is mostly heavy labor, that's very stressful on the body, while women's jobs are generally service industry or healthcare, less likely to damage your body. Also, it's generally accepted for women to live off the kindness of others, where a man that doesn't generate more than he consumes is called a loser. If a man shares his pain and distress with others, he's generally attacked for being weak and told to man up. The court system generally sides with women in most cases, especially divorce. Not in my case. I didn't get a damn thing in my divorce, but I digress. Most cases, especially divorce, causing many men to lose access to their children and still expected to pay for the child. Most women can walk into any bar in the world tonight and get free food and drinks and pick when man to leave with or build a relationship with. No man can do that. That's bullshit. Okay, you're reaching with that. Being a man is living in a world of constant rejection of a variety most women can't comprehend. That is true. I do kind of feel bad for men on that. As like they get rejected a lot. I don't know if I can hardly handle rejection from one person. And granted, I'm not going out like a man and trying to fuck everything that's moving. So maybe that's why. Maybe you'd get rejected less if you stopped trying to fuck everything. Oh, it's just making you stronger? No, it's you're still getting rejected. What didn't kill you still fucking tried to kill you. Ever think that? Maybe we don't want you to fucking hit on us all the fucking time. We wouldn't reject you as much. Just saying. Anyway. But no, that as far as what he said about the bar, that never happens to me. Literally. No one ever buys me shit when I go to a bar. And it's not like I'm trying, but I be going by myself, and yeah, shit like that doesn't happen to me. I'm not looking for someone to buy my meals. So there was some valid points he made in there. But okay, I think I'm over this question already. I knew this post was gonna drag because it was a heavy post. And of course, the top comments are all from men. Some of them have some points. Some of them are just projecting, and they're coming from hurt spaces. Jeffrey writes, it really depends on the women, not the man's opinion. But For one example, most police are males, and male officers are far more lenient on women than men. The whole system favors women and children. Also, men don't get nearly as much free stuff from women as women do men, like drinks at a bar, vacations, jewelry, etc. It's expected. Sugar daddies are everywhere, but not sugar mamas. Women tend to criticize themselves harder than they do anyone, but men are criticized and punished generally harder than women. There's my opinion. Let's see the attacks. And literally no one responded to him, bless his heart. More incels here. Jacob writes, at no point can I open my legs in front of a camera and make more than I would have working a full-time job, all while getting the same as the other gender at that job, while claiming to be oppressed by the very people who gave you the rights you said you wanted. That's how women complain about having to work and want someone to take care of them. As a man, I could never demand anyone takes care of me because I think my dick is magic. Single moms have all sorts of government assistance and free housing. Single dads who struggle get their checks garnished or even arrested. A woman can ruin a man's entire life with no evidence required by shedding crocodile tears and saying he raped her. And even after she admits she lied and they pull him out the cell he's been in for 5 years with no evidence, she faces no jail time. Okay, he's stretching with that story. I mean, maybe that's a true story or an incident. But 5 years with no evidence just to be innocent? I call cap. But because she's a woman, even if she did, women get on average half the sentencing for the same crimes. Women have it the easiest. Their only exception of them is to exist, and everyone else is forced to accept them the way they are while they demand everyone else change for them. Women have it easy as fuck. Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, we are revealing a lot of hurt men. The men who just can't follow the flow of the natural order. Okay. I'm not saying women have it easier or men don't have it easier, but if like everywhere in the animal kingdom, the man is dancing and peacocking and trying to get the woman's attention because the woman is the prize. I'm sorry if you had to hear it from me, but that's kind of how it is. The man is not the prize. The man is the one that goes after the prize. It takes two. You can't be a prize if no one's trying to have you as a prize. It does take two. But men, I think they're mad that they're not the prize, or they're mad that women aren't chasing them. That's not how this flow is set up. That's not how it's set up anywhere in the animal kingdom. So just stop. Either get in line or go fuck dudes, man. I don't know. Like we don't want the men who want to be like us, who want to be the prize. Women are the women and men are the men. Get in line or get the fuck off the ride. I'm going to read these notes, and I think that's it. I'm going to get into my J. Cole Fall Off Weekly Review. I think this is a solid podcast, a lot of mumble jabbering, a lot of emotions going on. So this is some notes called The Male Perspective on Female Social Advantage. Men's beliefs regarding women's advantages in life often center on the dynamics of dating and relationships, where men are frequently expected to carry the primary burden of initiation and the risk of rejection. So fucking be it. Some men argue that this systemic oppression allows women to spend time on self-fulfillment that men instead devote to the pursuit of partners. Additionally, women are perceived to receive significant self-esteem boosts through the constant validation offered by dating applications and social media, a level of attention most men do not experience. Philosophical and sociological perspectives within the sources further elaborate on these perceived advantages through several key areas. And let me see how many. We got 4. They give us 4 major points. I'm going to read them and then get on out of here. So we have societal value and the male, disposability hypothesis. So a significant theme is the concept of male disposability, which posits that societies treat male lives as more expendable than female lives. Protection in crisis. Men observe that in maritime disasters or moral dilemmas, there is a consistent bias towards saving women and children first, even at the cost of male lives. Risk and labor. Men account for over 91% of occupational fatalities in the United States, as they are disproportionately channeled into hazardous glass cellar industries like construction and mining to provide for their families. That's just what it calls for. I'm sorry. I don't know. Life expectancy. Some men point to the persistent 5 to 6 year gap in life expectancy and much higher suicide rates as evidence that societal structures do not value men well-being as highly as female well-being. Well, okay, I think there's that's what's that word? Misleading or inaccurate. Life expectancy. So if there's a 5 to 6 year gap between men and women, so women live longer than men. Statistically speaking, women outlive men, period. But in marriages, men extend their life expectancy by about 5 years or something like that. And they still don't outlive women. So I don't think that's pointing to society doesn't value men as highly as female. I just think that's pointing to men not really having value on their own lives unless a woman is involved, which should tell you something. Yes, men have higher suicide rates, but that should tell you something. A man will live longer with a woman, even if he was going to die before her anyway. Okay, so the second point, legal and institutional advantages. Men often perceive that the legal system and government policy offer women unique protections and leniency. Yeah, I definitely know about this. Sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not fair. Criminal justice. Some believe women benefit from the privilege of receiving shorter prison sentences or probation for crimes that would earn men harsher penalties. Social safety nets. Due to cultural norms around child rearing, women have significantly greater eligibility for social insurance, such as public health insurance, food stamps, and cash assistance. I mean, when you really think about it, those aren't really benefits, but I digress. Family law and divorce proceedings. Men frequently feel the system is rigged against them, citing custody biases that favor mothers and the requirement for men to provide financial support even when they are denied a voice in reproductive or domestic decisions. So some of these points were mentioned in the commenters, and I agree with some of them. I don't think it's right for, I don't know, like I don't know about custody with kids because I don't have kids. I completely agree with child support. I feel like if you don't want to support a child, then don't have a fucking child. So that's what I have to say on that. But I agree with other things like custody biases that favor mothers and the requirement for men to provide financial support even when they are denied a voice in reproductive or domestic decisions. I feel like they should still have a say in the domestic decisions, regardless if they're living with the child. You know, you made the child, you're still responsible for the child's upbringing, even if you're not living with that child, in my opinion. I think I'm going to be done with this. Professional and educational opportunities. It talks about preferential treatment, educational support, and then the interpersonal and social dynamics. So support networks. Women are seen as having stronger friend networks for emotional processing, whereas men are often culturally conditioned toward stoicism. And I feel like that's not our problem. Okay. Implicit chivalry. Some men believe women enjoy, quote, pretty privilege, end quote, where people are more likely to offer help or kindness to attractive and friendly women in both public and professional settings. Again, that's how you guys set up the system. The patriarchy was set up that way. And men be having pretty privilege too, so don't give me that shit. Okay. Anyway. I'm gonna get into my stats this week. It's been a great podcast. I talked enough. I gotta get ready for work. I gotta go shower, eat, maybe take a nap. Do I have any hip hop news this week? I might have some hip hop news this week. I have other fucking notes, but I definitely couldn't cover them. I know we had the 4th of July, the 250th birthday of America was this past week. I wanted to get more notes on that, but I don't really care about whatever mass energy harvesting ceremony that they threw on this year. I know right around the same time the people climbed the top of the Empire State Building, so that's really been my main focus this week. Don't really care about it. There's still a fire going on here in town. Oh my God, I'm like rushing through all these notes here. Yeah, there's still a fire happening. I'm still like the only one who does. I'm like chilling. I'm not bothered by this fire at all. I think they're going to let it burn all summer long. And honestly, I'm here for it. Like, I do not mind. The traffic has been great. I'm still getting all my hours at work. Life's been nice. Life's been really stress-free. You know, I've been just Really liking it. I wake up, I see the smoke. By noon, the smoke's cleared, and at nighttime, it smokes up again. Really good drone footage. Maybe I'll go fly out today. But yeah, that's basically it. A lot of acres, thousands of acres have been burned. You can see the fire from Flagstaff. You can see it from Cottonwood. You can see it from smoke from Phoenix. We're still burning. I don't have any hip-hop news this week. So I'm just going to get into my stats for Spotify, my listening stats for the week. Today is the 7th, so I'm going to read the notes for last week, which was June 29th through July 5th on Spotify. So yeah, it's the same. Oh, Kendrick Lamar. This is my top 5 artists for June 29th through July 5th this past week. Number 1, J. Cole, of course. He's been number 1 since The Fall Off was dropped. Number 2 is Drake, of course. He's been number 2 since Iceman came out. Dreamville and Boss at 3 and 4. They're both on motherfucking The Fall Off album. Actually, I don't think Dreamville's on the album, but on The Fall Off, but I have been listening to a lot of Dreamville, any J. Cole music related. But number 5, Kendrick Lamar. His first time in my top 5 artists for the year. I got into a little Kendrick thing. I think any song that he has with Drake, like Poetic Justice, I know I've been bumping Poetic Justice a little bit more this week. And sometimes it'll play recommended songs from my J. Cole and Drake playlist that I have playing mixed with The Fall Off. So yeah, Kendrick Lamar, shout out. Poetic Justice, I think that's what made him there. Okay, so let me get my top 5 songs for the week of June 29th through July 5th. Yep, they are all from The Fall Off. I'm looking, my top 5 songs for that week, June 29th through July 5th, have all been from The Fall Off with the exception of number 5, which was from KOD. Number 1 was Bombs in the Ville / Hit the Gas with 15 plays. Kind of a light play week. Only 15 plays was like my number 1 song, Bombs in the Ville. Number 2 was Safety, which dropped down from number 1 from last week. He has Safety has 12 plays, still a banger. 39 Intro with 9 plays at number 3, and then The Let Out with 9 plays at number 4. So those are just like my staple songs of The Fall Off. Every time I play The Fall Off, I'm definitely listening to Bombs in the Ville, Safety, 39 Intro, and The Let Out. Those are my top 4 songs this week. And number 5 was Window Pane. Banger, 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 banger. I've actually been skating to that song a lot. It's a great fucking song. It's from KOD. Top song. It had 9 plays this week. That's all, you guys. I'll see you guys next week.